everyone, and welcome back to this May bullet journal setup. And this time I wanted to do some floral illustrations, and here you can see that I'm doing echinacea botanical illustration, and I will link this photo reference in the description if you want to use it. It's free to use, so that's a good thing. But basically I'm just outlining and trying to replicate this photo reference as much as I can. I first starting with my pencil to outline the shapes of the petals and the center part, and after I'm going in with my fine liner to add smaller details. And for the center part, I'm not really going with a ton of precision. I'm just scribbling around until I get that shape and the texture that I want. It's not fully botanical, but it looks like it. Next step is to do the petals, and here I'm really going careful to try to replicate this photo reference as much as I can. And it's not that perfect, it's almost okay and almost similar to that, but the point of drawing something like this is to not make it the same as the photo reference. And if you hear some noise, my neighbors are crazy. But anyway, back to this part. I wanted to add a stalk, and on top of it I wanted to write May with some serif lettering. And here I'm just making these folded parts and using my hand to replicate that movement. When you write upper strokes, you want to make it thin, and when you do downstrokes, you want to make the shape thick. So here I'm just doing that, and I wasn't sure about this why, so I googled it, and I noticed that this left part is bolded and the right part is not, so I'm just using my ruler to do that because my hand was shaky and I needed some help. Next is to add some details to this flower. I wanted to add smaller lines to the petals, and I'm using my thinner, I think it's 0.1 fine liner for the details. I tried smaller one, but it wasn't that good, so I'm using this. If you have something thinner, use it, it will be better probably. Or if you want thicker strokes, use something different, but just focus on the top part of the petal and the bottom part of the petal most. Don't just do it across the petal that much. You want to make some dimension to this flower. And this is weird, but I'm using some colored markers for the first time in my videos. I wanted to try these magic markers that have this white one that when you apply it, it changes color. So I'm using this orange and purple that transforms into some, it's really similar shade of the echinacea, so I tried to replicate it because I don't have a marker in that color, and this worked well. Next page is of course my go-to monthly layout. Here I wanted to do my standard open grid layout that I really love to use. It's really simple to make. If you have a lined journal or any other journal, it's fine. Just divide it into 5 rows for this month and don't close the columns, make them open. So if you have multi-day events, you can easily merge 2 cells into one and make this customizable. So I really prefer this version. Now, I usually went with standard calendar grid, but it's really not that important for me now. And basically, if we're still going to have this quarantine, I can't have any events, so this one is just going to serve as a reminder for what happened, maybe. Or maybe if I have some plans to draw or create some new things, and maybe blog posts because I abandoned my blog. That thing is sad. Lastly, I created a coloring page that's free to download. If you want to download it, link will be in the description. It's an illustration of birds of paradise plant, and it really looks good. So if you want, it's free to download and you can use it digitally or even print it out and color it traditionally. And next I'm using these markers again, but this time I wanted to make some doodly setup here, and I'm just scribbling something that looks like a petal, and that center part, it kind of resembles echinacea, not totally, but it's a very different approach from what I'm used to do, what I'm comfortable doing. So it's fun and bright for this new month, and I think I will continue using these markers. They just sit next to my table, crying in the corner, waiting for me to use them, so this time I wanted to do something different. Next 2 pages are again my all-time favorite habit check and brain dump page. Both of them will be a list of things. Brain dump is just random stuff that I'm going to add this month, and habit check is something like a habit tracker, but not exactly, because I can't do trackers with checklists. I like to write, so here I'm just going to divide it into several sections and write mid-month and at the end of the month to see what happened, if I can improve something, and something like that. We'll see. And also I wanted to doodle something similar like I did in my monthly, but with a fine liner. So you could see there. Next one is my workout log. I'm kind of slacking, but I'm going to keep up with my schedule. And next is priorities for this month. That page is really good for me. I don't want to stress myself too much, but I want to add some priorities for every single month. For example, last month I wanted to draw every single day, and I did, and I shared everything on my Instagram. If you're following me there, you'll see it. But every single month I do something differently, and I want to see what can I do in this May. And my camera died, but I added one more echinacea. And lastly, we're going to create our weekly setup. And I'm using my brush pen to write days, actually numbers for every single day of the week. And I'm going to draw 3 echinaceas at the very center of this spread. It was kind of tricky, as you can see, because my notebook is almost at the end and I wanted to make this bigger center part with my fine liner, and I had to do some weird angles to get it right, but I'm using the same approach as I did in my cover page, except for these weird angles. But if you have a notebook that lays flat, you'll be good to go and you will not struggle as much as I did. But when I made the center part for this first flower, I moved on to the second, and I just went in and made that same shape. It's not fully circular. It's kind of like a cone, but rounded. And on the bottom, I'm making the third center part for the third flower, because I want to do them first and then decide how I want to create the petals. And when I did that, I started making a basic layout to see how much of this space I want to use, because honestly I need weekly spread to plan, and I need that space on the left and right part to plan out something. So I'm just deciding how much of this middle part I want to use for drawing. So when I did that, I used my fine liner and freehanded some petals. I didn't really use a photo reference. I just went and made it based on my memory. When we did the first one, we already know that this echinacea, their petals are facing downwards most of the time. So I'm just focusing on that, making the petals however I wanted. If you want to make something messier, you can do it. If you want to use a photo reference, you can do it. Or if you want to even use markers instead of this line art, you can, of course, create something like that. It's your bullet journal. I just wanted to doodle this time because I haven't done that in my last one. Last one was all about gluing stuff, napkins and paper and washi tape. So this time I wanted to create something different that I kind of prefer in this past few weeks. I'm really doodling a lot and drawing more. So I wanted to do that in my bullet journal too. And once I made my petals, I wanted to add some shading. Again, basically focusing on the top and the bottom part of the petal and adding some smaller strokes, just add some dimension. And here, that's all up to your preference. If you want to do something more minimal, you can leave this part completely, or if you want to do some more details, you can go in and draw as much as you want. Or even if you want to have this space for doodling throughout the week, leave it as is, and when you plan, you can also doodle or draw as you go. It's fun to do something like that too. I used to do it last year, and it's fun. But here it is, my finished May bullet journal setup with different layouts. Some of them are more botanical, some of them are doodly, and I love every single page from this part. It was really fun to use markers for the first time. I mean, basically I haven't used them to draw. I always used him to underline some things, so it was really a different approach for me, and I'm glad I did it. If you want to do something like this and replicate it, please tag me. I want to see them. And please subscribe and hit that bell to get notified when I post. I want to post more drawing tutorials from now on, so if you're up for some floral illustrations and lettering, subscribe and you will see more of this coming in the future. I'm still trying to keep up with at least one video per month, but you'll be surprised if I get something new up when I get some time. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hit that like if you like this video, and comment down, let me know if you want to see something else. I'm really glad that you watched this video and you come this far. So I'll see you in my next video. Ciao!